In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to locate and fix that pesky water softener leak. Hi, I'm Gary the Water Guy, and I simplify water filtration to help you conquer crappy water for your family. So you suddenly see water on the floor or on your water softener, and know that if you don't find and fix that leak, there'll be damage to your floor, and it's just going to get worse. I'm going to share with you my tips so you can find and fix that leak like a pro. Now keep in mind that water always drips down, so just because you see a puddle on the floor doesn't mean that it didn't start much higher up on the water softener. Tip number 1, does it leak all the time or is it just leaking sporadically? If it leaks sporadically, it's likely leaking when the water softener goes through a regeneration cycle. If you're not sure what I mean about regeneration cycle, I suggest you watch this video of mine on how a water softener works. So to test the water softener, see if that's true, you should manually start a regeneration cycle and see if you can find the leak during that cycle. So on this water softener, all you do is hold down the regen button, wait for 5 seconds, and after 5 seconds, you'll hear it start the cycle. And as it's going through that regeneration cycle, you'll hear water running from here to the drain line. So carefully check the top of the valve to see where it might be leaking from. And while you're troubleshooting for your convenience, you can always fast forward through the regeneration cycles just by pushing the regen button, and it'll automatically go to the next cycle. And to stop the leak temporarily while you make those repairs, you can always bypass the water softener by moving the bypass valves so the pointy ends face toward each other. Tip number 2, the most common leak isn't actually a leak at all. It's the excess water is caused by condensation. So whenever a cold liquid like water flows through a tank that isn't insulated, you get water droplets forming on the outside of that tank. That becomes more prominent when the tank is located in a warm, humid area of your home or garage. The condensation builds up and then runs down and forms puddles on the floor. The best solution is to insulate the tank. Check out this video to learn more about our insulating water softener sweat jackets, just like the one we have on this Hume water softener. Tip number 3, water's leaking from the fitting on the side of the drain elbow. So if I hold this up close to the camera, you can see that there's a fitting on the side here. And that fitting was put on there when the water softener goes through its regeneration cycle, was to make it less noisy. Clack water softeners are notorious for this. As they age, the vent that makes the backwashing noise quieter starts to leak. Luckily, it's an easy fix. You just replace the old fitting with a new fitting. And here you can see the new drain elbows don't have that little fitting on the side, so they won't leak in the future. Replacing that fitting is easy. All you do is put your water softener into bypass, and then you just remove the E-clip here, pull that out, remove the drain fitting. Now be careful, if your drain line goes up, there might be some water leaking out of this. And then you just unscrew the fitting from your drain line and replace it with a new one. And put the E-clip back in place. Tip number 4, leaking from the drain or brine fittings where they plug into the valve. So if we remove the E-clip here from the brine fitting, you'll see that there's an O-ring on the outside of this brine fitting. And as they get older, those O-rings start to dry out. All you need to do to fix it is to use plumber's clear silicone grease and apply some to the outside of the O-ring, plug it back in and connect it back up. Tip number 5, water is leaking from the overflow of the brine tank because the brine tank suddenly has far more water in it than before. This might have been caused by a power failure while the water softener was regenerating and refilling, and the safety float did its job by stopping the tank from overflowing. But you might get a little bit of water trickling out of here. To test it, all you do is just manually regenerate your water softener to see if during or when it's finished, there's far less water in the brine tank than you suddenly see in there. If it is, you're done, because it's correcting itself. And after several more regenerations, the water level will go back to normal. But what if the water level doesn't go back to normal? Well, then check out our troubleshooting video. I'll put a link in the description down below. Tip number 6, although it's rare, occasionally you see a leak from the valve body itself. I've seen them leak from this plug here on the side before. Now it's very rare, but in that case, you can just purchase a new valve body, disassemble it, and rebuild the valve in the new valve body. Tip number 7, another place you'll see water seeping from the water softener slowly is between the valve and the tank. Now you may not see this until the water's at the base of the tank, but look up because you'll see the water droplets in this area. So in this particular case, we've got a neoprene jacket on here. So if I unzip the jacket, you can see a little bit better where area I'm referring to, right in through here. Over time, sometimes the valve gets a little loose, and you can easily fix this yourself by disconnecting the valve from the plumbing and tightening the valve onto the tank by turning it clockwise. So what you do would be bypass the valve, disconnect it here, and then with the valve on the tank, just give it a turn clockwise to tighten it up. If that doesn't fix the leak, you likely have a cracked tank, and it's either time to replace the tank and the median side, or replace the whole water softener. And if you're looking for a replacement water softener, I encourage you to check out our websites, waterestore.com in the US, waterestore.ca in Canada. We offer free shipping and discount pricing. Click here for your next video on water softener troubleshooting, and I'll see you there. Any questions or comments? Add them down below.